Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at a variety of length models for fractions. So the first length model that we're going to look at is the number line model. And in a number line model, the denominator of the fraction represents the number of partitions between whole numbers. And it's important to note that the partitions are the number of spaces between whole numbers, not the number of tick marks that create the spaces. So in this example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tick marks that partition the space between 0 and 1 into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal sized partitions. And on a number line model, the numerator of the fraction defines the distance from 0 measured in whatever partitions are defined by the denominator. And the entire fraction can be represented by the point on the number line that is that distance from 0. So in this case, the fraction 5/8 can be represented by the point that is 5 units away from 0, where the units are each 1/8 of the distance from 0 to 1. Rulers are another great length model that you can use. And the process of learning fractions can help your students make their measurements more precise because they'll have ways of describing objects that are, say, longer than 2 inches but shorter than 3 inches. And when you're looking at a ruler, there's the inch side of the ruler and the centimeter side of the ruler. And inches are usually going to be split up into halves, and then halves of halves and halves of those, and so on. And the denominators of those fractions will be powers of 2 because half of a half is a fourth, and half of that is an eighth, and half of that is a 16th, and so on. And then on the metric system, because the metric system is based on the number 10, you have meters, which are split up into tenths to create decameters, which is about the length of your hand because it's equal to 10 centimeters. And then if you split decameters up into tenths, those make centimeters. And if you split centimeters up into tenths, that makes millimeters. And this relationship can be really helpful for teaching decimals because decimals are just special fractions that have denominators of 10, 100, and 1,000, etc. And so when you're teaching decimals, you can have a meter stick represent a whole number. And then if you split the meter stick into tenths, that would give you decameters. So every decameter can be represented by the first decimal place. And then the second decimal place can be represented by centimeters, and the last decimal place. And another length model that you can use to represent fractions is the fraction strips model. So fraction strips can be cut out from templates on paper, or you can purchase them as colorful plastic blocks. And there's also a lot of really good fraction strip apps available if you like incorporating digital tools in your class. So technically, fraction strips are also area models because they're formed by cutting a long rectangle into equal sized pieces. But because the pieces are all arranged in a straight line, they're a really good model for measuring length, and the physical manipulatives can be a good way for students to understand the concept of splitting up one unit of length into smaller, equal sized units of length. And the main thing that distinguishes length models from area models is that the whole unit is defined to be a one-dimensional length that's partitioned into shorter, equal-sized lengths, while in an area model, the whole is defined to be a two-dimensional shape that can be partitioned into smaller, equal-sized shapes. So when you're looking at a rectangle as an area model, you might take a whole and you could split it up into fourths by splitting it up like this. But if you're looking at it as a length model, you're only looking at the one-dimensional length. And so you would split up fourths like this because you're kind of ignoring the two-dimensional part of the rectangle. But this is an important distinction to make because some of your students, if you use fraction strips blocks, they may want to take one of the blocks and turn it sideways to make it so that it will fit. But that changes the definition of what the fraction is because a fraction strips model is only one dimensional. And so the two-dimensional part of the block isn't really considered when you're using a fraction strip model. So, number lines, rulers, and fraction strips are some of the most common length models, but you can also use anything that measures one-dimensional length as a length model. And strings, ribbons, and ropes are useful models because students can experiment with cutting the strings into equal sized pieces. So, I hope that this video was helpful for you, and I hope that you have a great day.